All right, everyone, how are you doing? Welcome to this week's episode of our podcast, Is Breakfast Included? Let's get right to it. On the show today, I sit down with Dave Perez and Ross Rubio of the band Big Story. Big Story have an EP. They just released it last night. It's called Hot. And it is amazing. They've also got a show coming up tomorrow at Three Links. You can get your tickets at Three Links website. Man, we just got into the history. A lot of this interview was us bullshitting because they're both my friends, but we got into the history of Big Story, how they came together, their whole trajectory of what they did. The pandemic hit, then they made a few changes, a little restructuring. But this, have you heard them before? Amazing band. And I just heard the new EP when they sent it to me last week. This shit is even more amazing. All right, guys. Like I said, they're playing tomorrow night at Three Links. You can get tickets at Three Links. Let's check it out.
Zoom. I'll be able to hear you anyway. So
Yeah. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you great.
All right, man. Since we're on, just tell everyone who you are.
I'm Dave Perez.
And I'm Ross Rubio.
We're in a band called Big Story.
Right on, man.
Here in Dallas.
Yeah.
In Dallas.
Yeah.
So what's been going on, guys? What's going on with Big Story?
Go ahead.
I guess all kinds of stuff, The pandemic changed everything for all of us in the music biz, I guess,
Yeah.
All of us shut down and we cooped up. We never let a week go by without getting together for the band, and recording all the time and whatnot. And
during that downtime?
Yeah, during that downtime. And I remember when when the pandemic hit and we when the lockdown was announced, we were on a text thread and we were kind of like, shit, what are we gonna do? And Ross was like, I'm about to get real good at guitar.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
It didn't happen, apparently.
Actually, it's not true. He did. He ended up posting videos of him.
Dude, I was watching his videos, playing solos and shit. I thought,
yeah.
I can't play chords because my hands are all weird and shit.
So you just play solos?
I could hold one chord and then it gets stuck. And I can't open. I have to pry it back open. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't know. I wanted to do that because I started getting guitars that I thought were cool or whatever. And I couldn't play drums where I lived and didn't really have access to the kit.
Yeah. Didn't you buy one from me, or I bought one from you, or?
Yeah, dude, you bought one from me. It was what it was, an RG or something.
Yeah, that's right.
But, I kind of wish I was like, damn it. Later on, I was like, man, I actually liked it. And I should have at least one of those RGs.
I actually had the exact opposite. I got worse at guitar over the pandemic.
So you got to play, dude.
Yeah, I don't play much anymore. They just sit right there.
It is, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I want that amp you got up there.
There's two, but the mic is covering.
Well, I want the orange because I have an 800 here.
Yeah. You don't have this 800 though. So Big Story, you guys didn't go a week without jamming or anything. You guys were coming off a couple of good years during when all that started, right?
Yeah, man, we thought we were kicking ass. It was fun. We did 4 tours, actual tours, where you get laminates and all that shit, and it's the real one. It's not we're going on tour and it's 4 days.
Yeah, it's Denton, Fort Worth, and Dallas.
Yeah.
And that's what I was gonna say. You guys were one of the bands in town. You know my history. Well, Ross knows my history with local bands. In my opinion towards local bands, you guys were one of the bands that actually did. When you said you were touring, you were actually out there touring,
right.
Sleeping on the floor of a van.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
man. We didn't rough it that bad because we're not 22 years old anymore.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't have been a big deal back then, but now it's we all kind of need to perform properly and just to be in a good mood with everyone. You kind of need your sleep. You need a decent place to sleep. But we learned that touring is not necessarily about the playing. It's about the other 23 hours of the day where you have to get along with a lot of people.
Yeah. How did that work out for you guys?
Man, the first tour was hard.
Yeah, it was.
we learned a lot of lessons on the first tour for sure.
Yeah, like the manager we had at the time, like he told us, you know, y'all guys are gonna, and when y'all get back, you're gonna be different people. Then of course, you know, everybody's like, nah, whatever, you know, you don't know. And then
We know you
yeah.
don't know.
and we kind of did. I mean, not to the degree like where you're a completely different person, but your attitude towards like certain situations definitely changed. Like how to deal with people, how to live next to a guy for however long, you know, for a month or longer. When you haven't had to do that before. At least I haven't. Dave's toured and tech and shit. You know.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's how y'all guys, I guess, know each other. But
Yeah, Dave and I have a history. He took over for me when I left my gig with Pat Green.
Yeah, that's right.
I didn't know him. Somebody referred him to me. And I think I called you up and said, "Can you fill in for a date?" And I never came back.
I think was Braxton the middleman?
Yeah, Braxton. Braxton, I think, told me to call you. And yeah, you took over.
Yeah.
And the first thing I heard is, man, this guy's got a video of him racing a leopard or something.
Cheetah.
A cheetah. Yeah.
I raced the cheetah on foot in South Africa.
Yeah. That's what everyone talked about for a minute there.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, don't come back till you do something interesting like that.
Yeah. That's about right. No, but yeah, we learned a lot of lessons on that first tour. It was even just like we borrowed an 8-passenger van from a friend. Man, thank goodness that they let us borrow that van. But we were an 8-passenger and it was our first tour, so you know we were all like overzealous. So we brought a merch guy, a sound guy, a bass tech. We brought, was it 3 or 4?
We brought three extra.
We brought three extra guys, right? All really good friend of ours that were down to come jump in the trenches and sit in that van and, you know what I mean, do the thing. But man, an 8-passenger van, when you are having to sit upright, like Ross was saying, having a decent place to rest, we just didn't anticipate. And there was 8 of us in the van, and we were all just sitting upright for a month and just in those close quarters. And just, you know, after 4 weeks, you got different dynamics every day, and dudes ready to snap each other in two, and you know, learning all those dynamics daily of how to respect everybody's time and their privacy. And yeah, it was hard. The first tour was a lot of hard lessons. It was also awesome. It was amazing. I'll never forget the very first show. We were at that place in Indianapolis,
the Egyptian ballroom.
Yeah, the Egyptian ballroom.
Yeah, was cool, man. Like that was the introductory, like my introductory to the band in general. But I kind of like put Dave in a different place because he's done it all, but not as a player.
Yeah,
I kind of I forget that it's his first time actually playing those shows too. But yeah, that was the introductory to our touring life, I guess. And it was like this really cool, you know, room with a big ass PA and just a ton of people, like a couple thousand at least people right off the bat. And it was just like, man, you know, this is cool as shit. And then the next gig was like nothing like it, but and it was like not as fun, you know, but it got more fun throughout the whole thing. I mean, it was badass.
Did you guys do a lot of that, like pack shows, 2 people, pack shows? And did you book shows? Were you with another band? Were you like a support act?
Yeah, so that tour was with Seether.
Okay.
And then we were the opening. It was only 3 bands. It was us, this band called Letters from the Fire, and then us. So it was just a 3 band bill, which was awesome. And we opened, so like, you know, we had like the longest sound check, other than Seether, of course, if they needed it. But we could just leave our shit on stage, so we didn't have to like haul ass and then haul ass tearing down. It was only the one haul ass where we tear down. But that tour actually was like pretty consistent with the crowds. And we did another one with Seether. There was other bands that was a couple other tours we did were like that, where it was like fucking cool, like, you know, tons of people. And the next one was like, I mean, it wasn't there was never any shows we played that was nobody there.
Yeah.
Because we went out with guys that we liked and we knew, you know, we were lucky enough to play with or to go on tour with some of these bands.
So coming from Dallas, you guys are or were and are already an established act. What was the difference, you know, going out and being a, you know, a small fish, so to speak? Like,
Man, I guess I mean for me it was super exciting just because I mean, you know, we were opening for big bands, so there was a great crowd, and it was always really receptive, I feel like. I mean, I don't want this to sound cocky. If anything, I'm being like super grateful. We really never had any bad shows. I mean, there might have been a couple. I should knock on wood. I probably just jinxed the fucking shit. Jesus Christ, I'm knocking on a guitar. No, we really in that sense, we were super lucky to be this small band that was going out with big bands. So every night we got a decent amount of people's attention, and we're able to sell a bunch of music and sell a bunch of shirts and sign autographs and get to know a bunch of people every night. We did the whole like, you know, we're the opening band, y'all, the merch table's over there, y'all come meet us, we want to say hi to everybody. We did like that whole thing, and it worked every night, and people would be crowding around us. And you know, it was we did a few tours with like two or three bands and a few tours with 3 or 4 bands, and we'd do the whole thing where every time a band finished their set, we'd make sure we were out at the merch table to meet people. So I think we were just like grateful and happy. Like, even though we were the small band out on the bill, we were like super excited to be out there and be around thousands of people every night. So in terms of going from like a local band and being sort of the bigger fish in your small pond to going out with big bands and being a small fish in a big pond, it was still really exciting. I enjoyed the shit out of it.
Yeah, I actually liked it better. I like opening up the show.
yeah.
And now, like when we play shows here now or whatever, when we came back off off tours and shit, and then we'd play regular shows, or local shows, I should say. It seemed like, why are we playing so late? Like, I want to get out of here, you know. Like, I like playing at 8 or 7:30 or 8 or whatever. You know, the doors open, and like, I like that. Except, I will say, we did some festivals as well during those couple years. And the first one we did was like Carolina Rebellion.
Yeah.
And we got there at like, what time did we get there? Like 10 in the morning or some shit. And we our set was at like 11:30 or 11:40. It was early as hell. And there was still a lot of people there, but it didn't look like it, you know, because it was spread out. But I don't want to play that early. But like 7:30 or some 8 or whatever, that's cool.
Yeah. Being a tech and seeing your band early on the set, like you're like, yes.
Right. Yeah.
Just fucking do this and get out of here. But I can understand being a band. And what Dave said about not sounding cocky, but sounding grateful, it makes sense, man, because I know Ross real well. We go back way back, and I think I'd met you a couple of times, but you both seem like this is what you want to do. Like, a lot of cats say they want to do this, man, and they do it, and it's not what they want, you know. You play, you know, Curtain Club or Trees back home, and you have big crowds, and you go out with a band, and nobody wants your shit because they went there to see Seether or whoever you were playing with, and that could break you real quick. You know, when you're not getting all the attention, and the sound guy's not your buddy and giving you all the time. I've seen that a lot, and Dave can attest because he's been on the other side as well. You know, so you guys, I followed you, and you always looked like you were having a good time. Your songs were fucking killer. You know, so coming back, you know, I know Ross's attitude. We've been friends for a long time, so just the fact that you guys are out there enjoying it, you know, and not expecting to walk out there and be like, oh, we're fucking superstars all of a sudden.
Yeah. It's weird because we're both like total elitist pricks when it comes to like being a fan of music, but we're also humble and understand that we need to like stay in our lane when it comes to like being out and touring. Like, just even the totem pole being on a tour of like the band that's headlining, like the venue and the food and dinner, it's theirs, and we're just a guest, and we need to wait our time to go do all those things. Like, we understand that we need to like stay in our position.
Yeah. Pay your dues.
Pay our dues until we hit that next level, you know.
What I really missed from you guys' tour, and it was not too much of it, the lacking of Ross taking pictures from behind his kit saying today's office.
Oh God, yeah.
That's his favorite, bro.
I know, man. Today's office.
Yeah, that's one of the things you'll never see me post.
I sometimes want to take that picture on the road and just text it to him.
Do it, man.
Yeah.
Out the office today, bro.
Get it.
You know, to be serious, I hate that.
Yeah. That's so, I don't know. You know, you know how I think about that shit.
So let's catch it up, man. You guys have a new EP coming out.
Yes.
February 25th.
No,
23rd.
Yeah.
February 23rd.
February 23rd.
Yeah. I don't know.
What day does that fall on?
That sounds like
It's
a
a Thursday.
And then we're playing on the 25th here, just to kind of knock the dust off, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, so I saw a little blurb that Dave got on Facebook and you know, talked about the EP, the upcoming show, and there were a lot of comments in the feed asking about, you know, did you guys get a new singer? Is that something that happened?
You're putting us under the gun, Burn.
Everybody will know by the time this comes out.
You know, we've kind of like had, okay, so we've obviously had a lineup change here. And one of the things you mentioned earlier when you said like some guys just don't, like, they realize they're not cut out to like tour and to really do it, even though they were their whole life, and then they go out and do it and they're like holy shit, I can't do this, you know.
Yeah.
What happened to one of the guys, and that has nothing to do with our singer, but as far as, I just wanted to say that for some reason. I just wanted to agree with you because it does happen, you know.
Yeah.
You do it. You know, it could have been me, been like, sorry guys, this is just too crazy. But anyway, our singer, you know, we just had to make a change, I guess, for this band.
Yeah.
The
only change you made?
Well, the bass player, we never really even had we're like the Spinal Tap, but with the bass players.
Yeah.
Okay.
Years, like we had.
So your bass player was killed in a bizarre gardening accident.
Yeah. You could say that, I guess. But like, you know, we've had some really cool we've had good bass players. So like you had to be good. Like we needed somebody badass.
Yeah.
Like, the playing had to be there right off the bat. Like, you know, we got a guy that actually could sing, and he's saying he was doing backups. Like we didn't play a show with our bass player now, who's his name is Carlo Decanini, and he was from Denton, called Werewolf. Werewolf, is that the way?
Yeah.
I get the two names mixed backwards.
Werewolf.
Yeah. Anyway, so like he got into our band, and then the pandemic happened, so he didn't do shit with, you know, he couldn't do anything.
Well, he did the music video with us for the Billie Eilish cover of Bury a Friend that we did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So is he the cat with you now?
Public introduction.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you know, so and then we continued to write songs and stuff, like Dave was saying, throughout those couple years or whatever, the last few years post pandemic. We decided to like make a change, and we just put the pressure on Carlo, like, hey man, do you think you want to do this? Do you want to sing? Like, just go for it, dude. And so he kind of accepted the challenge, and we're like, we continue to like, you know, give him encouragement, you know, the whole time, because he'd never been a front man before, you know, so like it's a new world for him.
Yeah.
Play all those crazy bass parts and shit too. So like he's stepped up, and it's really cool being in a 3-piece, because I don't know why, it just feels different, you know.
So the band is a 3-piece now.
Yeah, we're a 3-piece now. Yeah.
Okay. So you got Carlo, who's
Yeah.
playing bass and singing. what you said about a lot of cats can't handle, dude, this is a hard life. You know, I'll revert back to Dave again. Like even as a tech on a bus, getting paid pretty well.
Yeah, sure.
You know,
better than the band guys.
Yeah, you're going home and still, your personal life suffers because you don't have one. So I can imagine when you're out with a band, I'm not saying you guys don't make any money, but I know what you're not making because it's an independent band. So that could affect a lot of shit at home, and some cats, they want it, but they're not cut out for it. My one of my heroes in as a friend is a guy named Nick MD. Do you guys know Nick? Played for the Destro.
I don't.
Well, Nick is he's from Gainesville, and he was in a band called the Destro. They got a deal. They toured, and I can't speak for the rest of the members. Jono is playing for Speed Dealer now. And I can't speak for the other two guys, but it ended. And Nick's out there doing his thing, playing these festivals, all the big metal festivals with his new band. And this is his life. And he tells me, like, my entire life's in 2 duffel bags, and that's what you got to do, I think. And some cats can't handle that. Even as a tech, some guys can't go out and people ask me all the time, man, can you get me a gig? I can do this. I can do that. It's a lot more than tuning guitars. Dave can tell you, you got to deal with your guy, which 9 times out of 10 is, you better hope you have a decent guy you're dealing with, because that makes the job harder.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool,
I have pretty thick skin. I think you got to have thick skin to be in the music business, but I was never good at working with guys that were super dry and that were really a jerk. I just couldn't. I didn't have the patience for it.
Yeah,
it's always difficult.
Yeah.
I guess kind of similar to touring and being in the band. It's like the personalities just have to mesh one way or another. You know what I mean? Like maybe you're a van full of guys that everybody's quiet and that works for you, or maybe you're a van full of guys where everybody's animated and wild and it works for you. But whatever it is, the dynamics have to work out. Because like you said, it's hard. It's not for everybody.
Or 7 guys that want Arby's and 1 guy that's a vegan, but he decided to go on the road. I'm not being funny, but that happens a lot. Yeah,
I mean, it happens with us. You know what I mean? Like, well, I have to. I'll be in my head. Let's say I'm the guy driving the van. And I'll think to myself like, oh, I'm hungry, and I think, okay, well, Ross is vegetarian. I'm sure he hasn't eaten in 6 hours either. You know what I mean? Start thinking to yourself like, all right, let me keep an eye on the signs on the side of the road, and like maybe like. It's like you always revert back to like Subway or some shit like that, where like, everybody can walk in and some dude can get a sandwich with just vegetables, and some dude can get their meat, and like, it's fucking Groundhog's Day. You're eating the same shit every day for like 22 days straight.
And it's not just like you that you're thinking about. He's got to think about you too. Like, dude, it's not his fault that I'm vegetarian. Like we all, and that shit can break up a band quicker than.
That's weird, dude. Like, I don't know how that could. You just have to be a complete asshole to let that ruin your band, because
it happens.
It happens all the time, man.
It's just weird. We became, especially after the first tour, and when we came back, we didn't talk to each other for like 2 weeks, but then we had to, because we had to play a show and earn some money for the tour, basically. And then after that, we kind of learned to respect each other a lot more.
Yeah.
But we had to have a crazy talk, that wasn't pleasant. But it was definitely the thing we needed to do. And from then on, everybody kind of like I always noticed the guys would, like you're just the little thing, like, okay, well, they would always ask like, hey man, can you eat something from this place? And he would always ask, and I thought that was really, really cool. And I try to be accommodating. I'm definitely not the guy that's, no, we have to go here, or that's not what I do, and nobody does shit like that in our band.
Yeah, cool.
Now,
cool. So I'll ask this, and you don't have to answer it. Is there any bad blood between the members that are no longer in the band, or was that all just like it's amicably split?
Well, I will say that it was mutual.
Okay.
And that I guess we just don't really communicate. You know what I mean? I guess that's just the reality of it. We just don't really we don't communicate with each other, you know. So
You guys went your way, they went their way, and
yeah, Ross and Carlo and I are kind of just full steam ahead and kind of just, you know what I mean?
you guys have a vision for Big Story from this moment forward. Do you want to keep it as a trio, or do you want to?
I would like to do that.
We're having a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, we won't know how it's going to be until we actually get out and play. You know, like maybe do a handful of shows or an actual tour or something to see how that dynamic kind of shows from the stage or whatever. But
yeah,
I like a good 3-piece. You know, like there's going to be empty spots in the music, you know, compared to the recordings, but that's just how it is, man. I don't care.
Well, watching some of your videos and listening to your past music, I mean, those bass lines are not a fucking joke to play.
I feel like when Carlo has to sing such things, there's this like bass run at the end of the bridge, and then he has to hit a high note, like coming right out of it. And I think to myself, like, bro, better you than me.
Is he killing it?
Yeah. He handles up, man. He's great.
It's cool.
There's a total sidebar, but have you heard of To Whom It May?
No.
They're another 3-piece band from Texas. They're killer trio.
Yeah, they're better.
Just so fantastic.
What's the one thing you guys learned from touring as a 5-piece? Right? You guys were a 5 because you had another guitar player too. We haven't even talked about that cat, but I mean, touring as a 5-piece and looking forward to touring as a 3-piece. Is it? Are you going to be advantageous and take out a tech or a front of house guy, or is it just going to be the three of you? You know.
Well, we're definitely gonna take our sound guy if he's available. We
better be.
I know
that
we've taken our own sound guy on everything we've done, and
his name's David Wilson. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's
great guy.
Right on. Is he like another member of the band?
I mean, I consider. Yeah, I mean,
yeah. When we're out on the road, it feels that way. 100%.
Yeah.
You remember Clicks and Tyler?
Yeah.
He was the house guy.
Oh, okay. And he's the guy you've taken out on all these tours.
Yeah. And he's badass. He would get on the first tour, the other band that we talked about, they didn't take anybody. They took a merch person, I think. They just relied on the house from the house guy the whole time. And then we had our own dude, and they kind of were. It was funny because they gave us some shit about taking people out, you know. Like, y'all will break up after this tour, shit like that. But it's funny because they broke up after the tour and we didn't. But like, front of house. So we took our own front of house guy, and so we sounded consistent, and we would sound the way we wanted to sound. And we were lucky enough to go out with headliners that didn't give us any like stipulations. You know, there was no dB level. You know, they didn't stifle what we wanted to do sound wise, and so that was really cool. And then they would notice, the other bands would notice that we'd go out with, and they would hire our guy. So he would go out and make extra money on the tours and shit, which was
Bastard was making more than all of us.
Yeah, I know. But and we were glad that he would get opportunities. Like he went out with some other bands because of those tours. Like they noticed that he was like, a good dude to be around first.
Yeah.
Sound guy. So
that's how you get in, man.
Yeah, dude, it's the relationships, man.
How you get in. It's people call it networking, but I think I think Brad was the tour manager for Pat when you came on board, right?
Yeah.
The guy before him, the guy that hired me, told me that it's 90% of your attitude and 10% of the gig.
Yeah.
You got to be a good hang. Man, what about the new music? Is it going to be similar to the old stuff, but now you're writing for a 3-piece as opposed to a 5-piece? Is it going in any different directions? I mean, I hope this isn't insulting, but you guys have very good hooks in your songs. They were very catchy, and I'd catch myself humming the shit throughout the day, and then I'll be like, what the fuck am I humming? And then, it's because I watched your videos and,
No, I think the new stuff's definitely going to be a little different just because it's now the three of us working on it instead of the past 5 of us. But it's still vibey, big soundscapes. Some of it's heavy, some of it's not. I don't know. We're just doing our thing. I don't even mean to be vague in the answer. It's just I don't know. I guess to some degree we're excited to put the songs out and just let the songs speak for themselves. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's a little different and a little familiar.
Yeah. The familiar part, like Dave writes a certain way, and that stuff came across on the old stuff, and then now like we're all writing together like as an actual.
Ross is being really humble. He's been sending a bunch of guitar ideas in for like the last year, and like all of them are badass. You know, so I'm learning a bunch of parts that he's writing on guitar. One of the like, there's 4 new songs coming out, and like one of them was pretty much a collaboration, and the other 3 were like Ross basically being like, "Hey, I got this idea," and he sends it in. We're like, "We love it. Let's work on it just like that," you know.
Yeah.
And then one of the songs, we call it Panaz, is our bass player singer Carlo. He wrote the whole thing on guitar. You know, it's really clever. He tuned the B string down to A. It's in standard. And we were sitting at my house one day, and he was like noodling on the acoustic, and I was like, "What is that?" He's like, "Oh, this thing I've been messing with." I was like, "Dude, let's do that. That's great." So it's even more collaborative now.
Yeah.
And if it seems like there's new sounds coming out of the music, it's because Ross is writing more and Carlo's writing more. So yeah, it's been super collaborative, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
In the past, was it just you, or was it just you and someone else, Dave?
It was a little more traditional, like guitar players writing guitar parts, bass player writing bass part, singer. And now we're kind of like everybody's throwing in ingredients in every aspect of the song.
Yeah, it is definitely, because we all 3 of us can play each other's instruments to some degree.
Yeah.
Have an understanding.
It's more organic, would you say?
Yeah.
Writing?
Cool. Like to say though, or bringing up the sound, the change in the sound, like one of the other guys that we didn't talk about yet, Javon, our old guitar player, you know, like he wrote a lot of the kind of the more eccentric, like the wacky riffs.
Yeah.
So that's going to be his tastes or whatever probably won't be there as much, but we still we play with him so much that like a part of like the way he wrote kind of stuck with us, I think, a little bit.
Yeah. Definitely influenced me. Just his style. Yeah.
And we still have a real good relationship with him. You know, we don't see him much, but he's awesome. You know, we actually would like to put him on maybe have him do a solo or something on a song. Just to hang with him again, basically, you know. That'd be fun.
I haven't really talked. I talked to some local to Dallas bands, but I haven't really talked to a band like you guys. You guys were local. You kind of came out of nowhere. I remember texting Dave about a gig, saying, "Hey, can you do this?" And he replied like, "Hey, I'm not gigging anymore. I'm going to put my full effort into being in a band." And then about a year later, I started hearing about your band, but I haven't really talked to a band that was on your level and then went out and toured with major label bands. And then, you know, what's the difference there? And why do you think that a lot of local bands can't really handle that pressure? I mean, it's true. I'm not trying to be a dick, you know, but you know, a lot of local bands can't do that.
I don't know, man.
Is it the that you guys want it so bad?
So I mean, you do have to work for it. Like I remember, you know, the bands that I was in back in the day. We just assume, man, we're good. I'm decent. How come nobody's discovering me? It's like that's not how it works, man. And it took me way too long to see that.
Yeah.
But when we had, you know, Dave had built relationships through teching and stuff, and so we had a little bit of an advantage, I think, to be honest. But but that doesn't mean shit unless you can sustain it. And the music kind of like kept us there, I think, and our attitudes, you know, because I'm hoping we were known as an easy band to get along with, you know, touring wise, because I want to do it again. You don't want to be that band that doesn't get it back, you know.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a history of bands out of Dallas that got major label deals, and then they went out on their first tour, but they had never toured. It's like the scene was big and they got a deal. They never toured and they went out on tour and it just didn't work because they didn't pay their dues in a van. They didn't do all that. They just,
I mean, it was a concentrated effort. I mean, I've been touring since I was 17, basically. I was in a band from New Orleans called In Vain. The singer of the band was Jacob Pierce. His brother is CJ Pierce from Drowning Pool.
Mhm.
So when I was 17, I got to watch my buddy's band go from being a small local band in their town of Dallas to becoming one of the biggest metal bands of the year,
Yeah.
2001. They just absolutely exploded, you know. It was interesting watching that. And I think Judgment has a lot to do with it, with what you're saying about the resilience of just like going through. I think that Judgment has a lot to do with it. And I saw four guys that were really, really grinding to go get what they want. And the Drowning Pool story like really influenced and inspired me because they were one of those bands that they got together. There were several iterations of their lineup. And then when the lineup that we all know of Drowning Pool that blew up, it was only together for like 3 years.
Yeah.
They knew like, okay, we have a guitar player that wants it, a bass player, a drummer, and a singer that wants it. Concentrated effort. We're all on the same page. Let's go get it, you know? And my old band In Vain, we had a drummer that didn't want to go get it. And then we found a guy and we all came here to Dallas together. That band fell apart. And I knew that I had to make my own concentrated effort to find another guitar player, a bass player, a singer, and a drummer that wanted it. I saw Ross play at the Galaxy Club, the second Galaxy Club 2.
Commerce.
Yeah. What band was that? Bobby was singing
Fear of Self.
Fear of Self. And I was in Vain at the time, but when I saw Ross drumming, there was an attitude that he had while he was playing where I was like, I want to be in a band with that guy. And he just seemed like, I don't know, it's like little things that you notice as a musician. His drum kit was extremely put together. You know what I mean? His drums sounded fantastic. And the next band that came on stage, their drums sounded okay. Yeah. And I knew it wasn't the sound guy because the sound guy was Braxton. So the sound was fantastic no matter what. So I knew, okay, the drummer that was just on stage before cares a little more about his kit, about his sound, about his playing. And I used all those things to make those judgment calls, you know?
Yeah.
And I go around town sort of finding like the best of the best, I guess you would say, like hunting, like, you know, you hear that everybody wants this bass player in the band, everybody wants this guitar player, everybody wants a singer. And it took a long time. And we got all the guys together for Big Story, and I just had a feeling that something could happen, you know. And to Ross,
a very old school way of going about it, rather than just saying like, "Oh, hey, let's jam, dude," and see it, you know, like head hunting.
Yeah, exactly. And
Ross, man, he's a badass, dude. I've known Ross for I can't even tell you how long I've known him. And like you, I'm an elite as fuck when it comes to music as well. And so I gravitated towards Ross because we'd sit there and then talk shit.
Yeah.
The Galaxy Club, dude.
And it's funny that you brought up Drowning Pool because you guys kind of did the same trajectory that they did. You know, they were a big band in Dallas, but they weren't fucking satisfied with that. They were touring regionally and just killing it everywhere they went. They'd go to play to 10 fans. The next time it was 30 fans. And then, you know, to the point where a local station, you know, the Eagle started playing their track and it went up from there. So it's funny that you know, that was the band that inspired you because they did the same thing. They weren't just happy being the big band in Dallas. They wanted to be the big band on Ozfest, which, you know.
Yeah, it worked out for them.
Yeah, it did.
Stage presence days, man. I learned that from those guys too.
And they're still killing it, man.
Yeah.
You know, I think now, you know, unfortunately, you know, we lost Dave several years ago, but, you know, Jason's been killing it with them. You know,
they're still doing it, man. I'm impressed that they're still wanting to do that. You know,
who are your influences?
Still all the old dudes that we all used to listen to. I mean, I still find myself constantly listening to Tool and Perfect Circle and new bands. I'm super into Turnstile.
Yeah, those guys. That actually their latest album kind of inspired. I think, at least for me and Dave, like the attitude of that band, like they're kind of is inspiring. The songs are badass too, though, obviously, but it's like it's that old Bad Brains kind of attitude or whatever, like just do it. Just kind of they're not. I wouldn't because they're not punk, but it's like they'll do whatever. They're just trying whatever sounds good to them.
Yeah,
and people are liking it. And they don't. I don't think they care if people like it when they're coming up with shit. And I wanted us to do that too. Like, let's just do what makes us feel good. And if people like it, great. And not everybody's going to.
Yeah. I always thought if I like it, there's got to be at least 30 of me out there that like what I like.
Right.
Dude,
I mean, like I was gonna say, like there's we haven't even put the thing out yet, and people are already probably hating it.
Already getting complaints.
Yeah.
Who are you? I guess this is a mandatory question. Who are your influences as players?
Okay. I mean, the same ones.
Ross has two answers because now he's a badass guitar player.
Oh.
Well, Dave Mustaine.
Yeah. No, dude. I'll
take your balls.
Pretty good. Well, like all those drummers, like all those, like Lars and Nick Menza back in the day, and Vinnie Paul, of course, and Morgan Rose was a kind of like a fork in the road at the time. Like, okay, I'm gonna go do this. And when Dave was talking about that gig that he saw me at, like that was at my like Morgan Rose peak, kind of trying to copy what he did, and with the headset mic and all that shit, and now I have to sing, and it's like, damn it, what I should have just never sang.
Yeah, so let's not forget Ross is a great singer too.
I can.
He's got a pretty good voice.
I say you ditch the other two and just be the one man band.
No
fucking tambourines on your knees and.
Nobody. No, that's not gonna, maybe if I really need to make some extra money or something, but that hasn't happened yet. Who else? I don't know, man. Just like there's been local guys that really inspired me. You remember Haji's Kitchen?
I do.
Remember Rob
Stankiewicz?
Rob Stankiewicz?
Stankiewicz, yeah.
Haji's?
Yeah, that guy was.
I remember Rob when he was in Tommy Lamey.
I remember Rob from
Samsara.
The band with Janardin was the singer.
Yeah, Samsara.
Sara.
Yeah.
We used to call them Samsara sons of bitches.
Dude, that bass player was ridiculous too. That guy.
Derek Blakely, right?
I saw that guy had one of those fan fret basses in like 2004. And I was like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
No, that guy. Him, and I didn't see the original lineup of that band, but it was like I remember playing some shows with him back with my old band, and just I was like, at first I was like, what's all these fucking road cases and huge drum set? It's like, dude, it's the Current Club, chill out. And then they played, and I was like, fuck it, you can bring whatever you want, dude. It was just they were like professional, badass musicians. It was like, god damn, I want to do that. I used to get inspired by like a lot of the local bands that were badass, like Edgewater and the Feds. Those were like, I couldn't miss either one of their shows anytime they played because I knew it was going to be like just badass. It was going to be a good time, and you're going to see a good band,
Yeah.
Jibe back in the day. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. As far as like, that time that we saw Thin Lizzy at Galaxy Club.
Yeah.
And we got to see John Sykes.
Galaxy Club?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's when I was playing with Red Leather and we opened up for them.
I got to hang out with John Sykes all weekend.
I got to meet him at the end of the night. But that was I've told you, Dave, it was like one of those like Vinny and Dime were there. Zach Wilde was there. And John Sykes was playing guitar. Tommy Aldridge was playing drums. It was like all these legends and shit. And then me, just like standing there. And I got to meet John Sykes at the end. He was super cool to me. I was kind of like a drunk 23-year-old. And I was like, dude, or whatever I said. And then he was like, he just looked at me, smiled, and he was just like, he nodded, like, you're cool. You're all right. I'm not going to, he totally could have told me to piss off. But he didn't. He was nice.
Earlier when you were talking about going on at 11:30 and you want to do this, I was going to tell you this story about that show, about Tommy Aldridge. I was working at the Galaxy and they had me, I was the runner for that band. And I went and picked up Tommy from the hotel for sound check. And he asked me, he said, what time is the show tonight? And I go, I think you guys go on around midnight. And he's like, what? He's like, damn it. He's like, I'm used to proper shows going on at 8:30 or 9.
Well, there was nothing proper about that night.
No, he was so mad about going on so late. But they had canceled a couple of shows after that and they stayed in town. And I got to drive John around. He hired me to kind of be his tour guide.
Dude.
So yeah, I got to think, yeah. I always throw that out there.
That is how great of stories techs have.
I know, right?
There's got to be so many stories that techs have that they can't even tell because they'll get somebody in serious trouble, but it's just got to be a golden, wonderful story.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Dave has a lot of cool ones.
Yeah, I got a couple of good ones.
Yeah. I've been trying to get this friend of mine on the show, and there's always some conflict. But he always tells me, he's like, I'll tell you anything you want to know. A lot of the texts come on, they talk, and they'll tell me like, hey, I'll tell you this, or if I ask them, I can't talk about that. And there's stuff that I can't talk about because I've had to sign NDAs and stuff. But yeah, we've seen some shit, huh, Dave?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Seen some things. It's a shame it's 2023. We could talk about all of it.
What about you, man? Who are your influences, Dave?
Not Dave Mustaine.
No, not Dave Mustaine. Which is fine. Nothing against Dave Mustaine. Just not
everything against Dave Mustaine. Let's just say that.
Y'all chill out, man.
Just
boy.
Ross loves Megadeth. We went and saw them a couple months ago, and they were amazing live. But just never been a big fan. But when I was real young and starting to play guitar, I liked Green Day a lot. Billy Joe Armstrong was a big influence. And then the more I came up, the more I feel like sometimes I feel like I'm not a guitar player. Sometimes I feel like I'm a noise maker.
Uh-huh.
I don't necessarily like in terms of like shredding and being a great guitar player. Like that's not me. But Adam Jones is a huge influence. Billy Howardell's a really big influence. Jeff Buckley was a really, really big influence on me. And it took me a while to realize how much Jeff Buckley influenced my guitar playing because I was so inspired by his voice and his songwriting, and I would learn his songs on guitar for the sake of knowing his vocal parts.
Uh-huh.
And like several years later, I realized how much of his guitar stylings that I put into my writing because it's so emotive, like super emotive,
Yeah.
But Josh Freese is actually like a massive influence on me. For those of you that don't know, he's a drummer, but for some reason that guy's just had a massive influence on me. Almost every band that he jams with, I'm a fan of.
Yeah.
He plays the drums, inspires me as like a songwriter. Like I feel like Josh Freese's fills are songwriting. It's not necessarily just a drum fill,
Yeah.
The guy can write hooks behind a drum set that make a song, and for me that's part of like the noise making thing. It's not necessarily just like being a drummer, it's being like a songwriter that plays the drums, you know. So yeah, he's been a
that totally makes sense because the music I've heard of you guys, the guitar parts, there's a lot of texturing, a lot of, like you said, there's not a lot of noodling, in parts and so I can totally hear that when you play. You use a lot of effects.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's starting to.
I knew the answer to the question.
Ross is slowly but surely getting me to dial the wet knob back a little bit.
It's funny because like we both actually kind of got into this thing of like have you seen this pedal? Like check this shit out. And then Dave would go get them or whatever. He started adding. We both like I have a small pedal board too, and Dave's got like
A ridiculous
it's
pedalboard.
getting crazy. But like, I feel like I wanted him to get all this shit, and then now I'm like, it's too much shit. Like I can't make up my mind, but he's having fun with it, and it's like it's inspiring to have all that stuff. You don't have to use it all the time, but just even looking at it is cool. It's like, well, if it's serving some purpose, you're gonna use it to some degree, but like it is cool just even looking at the thing, all the fucking lights and shit.
But yeah, I love effects a lot.
Yeah.
Strymon, anything Strymon makes, pretty much I'm a fan of. I have their big three pedals, the Big Sky, the Timeline, and the Mobius, and you can get lost in those presets pretty easily and just make all kinds of crazy sounds. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. What is there? There's a pedal brand, Chase Bliss. Is that it?
Chase Bliss, they make great stuff.
Yeah, you got to have a goddamn degree in engineering to use any of their pedals.
Do you know Paco?
Who?
Do you know Paco Estrada?
I don't know him, but I know who he is.
Yeah, local musician at DFW, fantastic. He's got a super crazy pedal board. He's got 40 or 50 pedals, and he's got all that Chase Bliss stuff. And dude, he'll go down the rabbit hole. He knows how to mess with all the parameters. It's too much for me. It blows my mind. I can't even. Too many.
Someone gave me the Brothers pedal. I think it was their overdrive or whatever, and it was just too much for me. I like the 3 knobs and the button.
Yeah, that's all my brain can handle too.
Man, do you guys have any other than the show on the 25th or the 25th is your show, right?
Yeah.
And the 23rd, the EP is released. Anything after that? You guys planning any touring? Or are you working on that?
Yeah, once the EP's out, we're definitely gonna like push hard to try to get on some tours and shit again, and hit up some old contacts and see if we can get on again, to like just to jumpstart it and see about our if our booking guy can get us in some festivals again and stuff like that. Man, we definitely want to do it.
Yeah.
We want to pick up where we left off.
Yeah,
for sure.
Do you guys have a van this time, or will you be borrowing?
No, we got a van actually after that first tour. We did sign a deal during the. Oh, we did a showcase on that first tour, like about a week or two in.
Yeah,
and
pianos, New York City.
Yeah, New York. That was pretty crazy. But so we got the deal. I
broke my back the day before the showcase.
Well, he's exaggerating slightly. Actually, exaggerating a lot, I'm sure, Dave. He broke his back conveniently, and so we all had to like start loading all his.
I couldn't
shit.
load in my gear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he happened to have the Mesa cabs that weigh like 10,000 pounds each or shit. But we did it anyway.
Yeah.
So we got a deal, and we were able to buy a van, or procure a van for the next few. Now Dave has the van, so we're good there.
Right on, man.
We're professional, dude.
I know. Hey,
we got the 15 passenger, baby, the big one.
Yeah.
Big one. Dude, I've wanted to talk to you guys for a while. I think I reached out to Ross almost a year ago and said, "Hey, man, you should come on and talk to me." And he just didn't even reply. He rock starred me.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
You know what? I think that was it was longer than that.
It was longer. It's when I first started this thing, and I didn't know what the fuck I was. I still don't know what I'm doing, but.
You hit me up. You were asking how I did split screens and all this. You asked me about some kind of technical shit.
Mics and I didn't know. You want to know? I knew he had a little, and I said, "Hey, how do you use GarageBand?"
Oh yeah.
That's still what I'm using, man. I figure if it's good enough for Mark Maron, it's good enough for me.
All that
nice.
Shit.
Yeah.
Right? It's free.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Where can people find you online, man? Socials.
All the normal streaming services. By the way, the show on February 25th is at 3 Links, and you can get tickets at 3linksdeepelm.com. But all the normal platforms, Spotify and Amazon Music and Deezer and YouTube and all the whatever's out there, you can find us all there. Yeah, Instagram and Facebook.
Big Story Official just look up Big Story Official, and that'll be on all those things and all those platforms.
Have you guys filmed any videos for this new stuff?
Not yet. We'll we talked about it. We just um, the timing wasn't working out for us for some reason. So we're gonna do it though.
There's actually a very valid reason why the timing hasn't worked out for us. Uh, we're doing everything DIY right now. Which is in the moment when you're doing it, it can seem like really time consuming. But now that the album's about to come out, I'm super proud of us. This dude has been working his ass off. Ross recorded and engineered the EP. We sent it out to our buddy Jim King to mix and master. He did a phenomenal job. The artwork, Ross did it. The cover, Ross did it. The new promo photos that we're putting out, we did them all ourselves. Yep. Everything's in house, so it takes a little longer,
Yeah.
It's not easy to be the guys that need to record everything, edit everything, package everything, and distribute everything. We still have our distribution deal with MRI, which is fantastic. They help us facilitate everything that goes out to the streaming platforms. So super grateful to still have that relationship. But it's been somewhat time consuming just because we're doing it all ourselves. So
right now you guys are completely independent, no management, no booking agency, or do you have management and a booking agency right now?
We don't have management.
We don't, but we do have a booking agent. So, just trying to grind it out and see what we can do to get back out there and get on the road and play some shows.
Well, right on, man. Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time and talking to me today. I know it was more of a bullshit session, but
yeah, dude, that's what I was hoping it would be.
Yeah.
I managed to throw a few questions in there, but if you've heard my podcast, you know what I'm going to ask you. If we were having breakfast, what would you have?
Go ahead, Dan.
Pancakes, eggs, bacon.
Okay. I will do. Well, I'll make it a little long. During the pandemic, I watched Gordon Ramsay make eggs once, and like the British style or whatever. They're a little bit whatever. All right. So scrambled egg sandwich with avocado and coffee.
All right, guys, man. Well, thanks for your time, and hopefully we'll talk soon, man, when you guys put out the full length.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for having us on, man. We really appreciate it.
No worries. Good talking to you guys.
Yes, sir. You too, man.
Bye.
Later.
There you go. Dave Perez, Ross Rubio, Big Story. Once again, they're playing tomorrow night at 3 Links. You can find out everything you need to know everywhere on social media at Big Story, Spotify, Apple Music, Big Story Official. All right, guys, I'm done. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you next week.